Here with reaction is China expert and former Department of Defense official Elbridge Colby. Elbridge, just the big picture now. Your thoughts on Xi Jinping's future, China, and our stance in the light of these protests?
Great to be with you, Steve. I think Xi Jinping is in trouble in the sense that he has a sort of maniacal or kind of crazy COVID policy that is hurting the economy and is obviously going to be very difficult to get out of. They don't really have a good solution. On the other hand, as you said, they are brutal, authoritarian, but they're also, unfortunately, very tragically, effective, ruthless, and efficient. Helped along by companies and people like Apple, right? In the case of the AirPods incident. And unfortunately, it's looking like, from what we can tell from the mainland, that the protests are fizzling out. It's hard to tell because how can you actually trust the information? But I'll put it to you this way. I calculated it today. The Communist Party of the Soviet Union ran the USSR for 74 years. The Communist Party of China is at 73 years. Unfortunately, I think they're likely to surpass that terrible record of 74 years at this rate.
And so if he survives this and goes on to retain power, because the big thing we're all looking at is Taiwan, and again, are we sufficiently prepared to deter anything happening there?
I don't think so. I was at the Reagan National Defense Forum the last couple of days where Fox News was covering a lot of the events. And I was disturbed because the Secretary of Defense of the United States, he basically said, as far as I could tell, that everything was hunky-dory. And you listen to all the other people out there, including many of his own lieutenants and senior Pentagon officials, and they're saying, we're not prepared out in the Pacific. Our defense industrial base is using up all its stocks, or a lot of its stocks on Ukraine, and it's going to take years and years, if not more than a decade, to replenish. In the meantime, yeah, maybe the Chinese aren't ready right now. You've got administration officials saying, yeah, they're not going to do it tomorrow or in the next 2 years. But, hey, that's like nothing in defense planning terms. And even, former Obama administration officials are saying, yeah, no, it's clear that they want to have the capability to invade Taiwan by 2027. We don't know if we're going to do it, but if they know they can do it, and we know that he cares about it so much, then it stands to reason they're much more likely to try.
It is amazing, isn't it? And I've also seen speculation from the former New Zealand Prime Minister, Australian Prime Minister, talking about early 2030s. You know, everyone just assumes this is going to happen, and we don't seem to be doing anything to actually say, no, it's not going to happen.
Well, I sometimes feel I'm on crazy pills sometimes, because I said on Twitter a couple of months ago, I said, we need a national mobilization, because I say, well, even Democratic officials are saying there's a distinct threat. We can see what China's doing. We see how ruthless Xi Jinping is. And then, whoa, defense spending flat, defense industrial base creaky and all that. And I'm not saying just pouring money. I mean, we've talked about this before, pouring money into the defense primes. We've got to do it in a way that's equitable, that's efficient, and so forth. But I think I'm not the one on the crazy pills, because this is not adding up. The equation's not balancing. And that Australian Prime Minister you're talking about, that's Kevin Rudd. He was a Labour Prime Minister. He's famous for opening to China, and he's saying it's going to happen. So that should really worry us.
Exactly.